Good morning, dear students, and welcome to our e-learning session. And today we will going to start one of the wonderful chapter of your history part. That is the following Mahatma, part 2. If you remember that in part 1 we learn about the Gandhiji. In 1915 he came to our country. He became the important leader of our freedom struggle. This all point what we have discussed. So wonderful points and wonderful things now what we will going to discuss. But as this is the first lecture of the day, so we have to start with the positive thought. I have instructed you when you sit for your online lecture, pray to Almighty. 5 shloks what we are reciting in our daily prayer or to whomsoever. There is only one God. So whatever, in whichever God you are following, you are believing, please pray to Almighty. So today's thought is the self-belief and the hard work will always earn you the success. I always insist you, early in the morning, when you wake up, tell yourself that I am the best. You are the best. Keep in mind, you are the best. You are unique. So, first of all, and the most important thing that you should keep in mind, that self-belief. खुद पे भरोसा रखना सीखो. Self-belief is the basic requirement to get a success in a life. Self-belief and hard work. Don't give up. Don't give up in any situation, in any circumstances. So never give up and self-belief. This is the key to success. If any concept, any topic, any subject, anything you find that it is difficult, so work hard, work on that particular point, work on that particular subject, and definitely you will succeed in that particular topic. So the thing is, never give up. Always remember that Hindi poem that you learn in your primary classes, कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती. So with this beautiful words, let's start the topic following Mahatma part 2. If we talk as a revision, so as you know, in 1757 with the Battle of Plassey, Britisher got the right to collect the revenue, got the tax power, collect the tax power. 1857, revolt of 1857, that what we have learned about Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmi Bai, about the Tatya Tope, Nana Sahib Peshwa, Bahadur Shah Zafar, Mangal Pandey, this all point we discuss. So from 1757 to 1947, that is a stretch of 190 years, a long stretch. That what we know about the freedom struggle. In 1915, Gandhiji came to India. He came back to India. He was a renowned barrister. We know about the life of Gandhiji, the birth date, and that all point we have already discussed. We played a quiz also in the class. If you remember, we have already done with that things. So now we are talking about the incidents which took place when Gandhiji came to our country. So after we are talking about the incidents which took place after the 1915. So first of all, the civil disobedience movement 1930. Now disobedience means what? जब हम किसी का कहना नहीं मानते, when we are not following the instructions, when we are not following the rules, instructions given by the authority. Now the term is used, civil disobedience. So as we know, at that time British were rule on us. So they were having the particular rules and regulation that all the Indians have to follow, and now we denied to follow that instruction, and this movement is known as the civil disobedient movement. So it was difficult to attain the Swaraj. Swaraj. Swa means mine, our. Rajya matlab own. आजादी मिलने तो मुश्किल थी. So it was difficult to attain the Swaraj without putting up a fight. So at the Ahmedabad session of the Indian National Congress, the executive committee decided to launch a movement to attain the Swaraj by breaking the unjust law in disciplined way. What we have decided? It was decided that we will going to break the law. कायदों को तोड़ना है, but in which way? In disciplinary way. किस तरह से? In a disciplinary way. It authorized Gandhi ji to launch the civil disobedience movement. गांधी जी ने civil disobedient movement शुरू की. So first and the most important, Dandi March. (1930). Now this is a VIMP 4 mark, 3-4 mark question. IMP करो. Not only for this class 8th, for class 9th, for your further study, for your, if you want to pursue your, if you are preparing yourself for UPSC, GPSC exam, Dandi March is the most important point. When we learn about Gandhiji, life of Gandhiji, we have to remember Dandi March. Now, Dandi and March. This March is not a month, third month of the year. March to move forward. मार्च करना है. जब कोई मिलिट्री आगे बढ़ती है तो हम उसको क्या कहते हैं? मार्च. ओके. एंड दांडी इज अ प्लेस. दांडी इज अ प्लेस. ओके. नाउ the civil disobedience movement started with the breaking of the unjust salt law. नमक का कायदा एक था, सॉल्ट लो. ओके. उसको तोड़ा गया किसमें? विद द दांडी मार्च. The civil disobedience movement started with their breaking of the unjust salt law. British government has monopolized the production and trade of the salt for the British government and the English merchants only. Now, you know कि salt कैसे बनता है, नमक कैसे बनता है? Anyone knows? नमक, it is a basic essential element. बिना नमक के स्वाद कैसे हो सकता है खाने में? नमक है, इट्स अ नेचुरली बनता है दरिया किनारे पे. नाउ गवर्नमेंट, ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ने उन्होंने क्या किया? दे हैड द मोनोपोलाइज. सिर्फ ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ही उसको बना रही थी, बेच रही थी. सो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट हैज मोनोपोलाइज द प्रोडक्शन एंड ट्रेड ऑफ द सॉल्ट फॉर द ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट and the English merchants only. This is the unjust na? So salt was made a taxable commodity. अब नमक पे टैक्स डाल दिया अंग्रेजों ने. See, at that time we were very poor. Indians were very poor. And salt is a basic requirement. अब salt पे भी अंग्रेजों ने टैक्स डाला. So salt was made a taxable commodity, which Gandhiji and other nationalists felt was very unjust, and it is obviously unjust. एक तो naturally चीज, भारत की चीज, basic commodity, and it was a taxable. So Gandhiji announced in the year 1930 that they would carry out a march up to Dandi near Surat to break the salt law. तो Dandi एक जगह है near to Surat, अहमदाबाद से दांडी तक उन्होंने यात्रा की, मार्च की with his followers, and in the Dandi उन्होंने हैंडफुल नमक उठाया and he broke the salt law. Gandhiji started the Dandi march from Sabarmati ashram, Ahmedabad, with 78 companions on 12th March 1930. First point what you have to keep in mind, 12th March 1930, 78 followers or the companions. Okay, so from Ahmedabad, from Sabarmati ashram, from Sabarmati ashram with his 78 companions or the followers, what the word you can use, on 12th March 1930. Meetings were held in every village that was on the route. अब अहमदाबाद से लेके दांडी तक रास्ते में जितने शहर, जितने गांव आते थे, वहां पे गांधी जी मीटिंग करते थे, लोगों को आजादी की अहमियत को समझाते थे. So meetings were held in every village that was on the route. Gandhiji explained to the people the characteristics of the civil disobedience movement needs to break the salt law and the significance of the satyagraha in attaining the Swaraj. Satya ka agraha. Satyagraha, it is made up of two words. Satya plus agraha. Satyagraha. तो गांधी जी सत्य और अहिंसा के मार्ग से he was explaining the villagers, explaining the Indians the importance of स्वराज्य, खुद का राज्य क्या है, why it is important. गांधी जी was explaining on the villages which is coming on the route. So Gandhi ji reached Dandi on 5th April. This is also important date. 5th April he reached, but he broke the salt law on 6th of April. Gandhiji reached Dandi on the 5th of April. On 6th April he broke the salt law. 6th April 1930, Gandhiji broke the salt law. When Gandhiji broke the salt law, 6th April. पहुंचे थे कब? 5th April. Again, we are talking about Dandi March. Year 1930. कौन सी डेट पे गांधी जी started this march? On the 12th of March. From where? From Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad. How many followers, companions were there? 78 followers. When he reached to Dandi, 5th April. But he broke the salt law on the 6th of April. On 6th April, he broke the salt law. Gandhiji, while picking up the fistful of salt, मुट्ठी भर के, फिस्ट मतलब मुट्ठी, जब उन्होंने नमक उठाया तो गांधी जी ने क्या कहा? Fistful of salt in his hand and said. अब ये जो सेंटेंस है ना, you have to remember, underline it, IMP करो. सेंटेंस देके पूछा जा सकता है कि कौन सी मूवमेंट में गांधी जी ने ये बोला था, कब बोला था, कौन सी मूवमेंट के अंतर्गत इसको बोला गया था. दिस ऑल आर द डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन कैन बी आस्क्ड. सो Gandhiji, while picking up the fistful of salt in his hand and said, with this, I am shaking the foundation of the British Empire. इसके साथ मैं अंग्रेजों की सियासत के फाउंडेशन को आज नष्ट करने की शुरुआत करता हूं, उसको हिला रहा हूं. of the British Empire, farmers, tribals, women actively participate in this movement. The government resorted to the policy of suppression. Thousands of satyagrahi were arrested. हजारों सत्याग्रहियों को, they started with 78 followers. But फिर तो लोग जुड़ते गए थे and that was a crowd of thousands of people. और गवर्नमेंट ने उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए, सप्रेस करने के लिए पुलिस फोर्सेस का यूज हुआ था and thousands of satyagrahi was arrested. See, one wonderful activity is given. Have a look. Write the name of places on the route of Dandi March with the help of the given map. This is your homework part, first homework. See, activity it is given on the page number 79. The route of Dandi March. The route of Dandi March. You just check in your YouTube or in your, with the help of internet, you find out. So the names of places on the route of Dandi March with the help of the given map. What is the distance between Ahmedabad and Dandi? Describe the scale and write. कितने किलोमीटर का वो अंतर था? कौन से बड़े शहर या तो गांव बीच में आए? What is the distance between the scale and write? Across which district did the Dandi March pass through? कितने डिस्ट्रिक्ट को पास किया? As it was started by Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad itself is a district. It reached to Dandi near to the Surat. Surat itself is a district. पर बीच में कितने डिस्ट्रिक्ट पास हुए थे उस वक्त? Then, which are the center of the salt industries in Gujarat? Now we are talking about the Dandi March. As we are talking about the salt law, तो Gujarat, it is having the largest coastline. पूरे भारत में सबसे लंबी दरियाई कोस्ट लाइन भारत के पास है. Yes, it is about 1600 किलोमीटर. तो गुजरात में कहाँ पे नमक बनता है? That point you have to mention. And how many days did Gandhiji and his companion reach to Dandi? शुरू हुआ था 12 मार्च को. 12 मार्च को they started their journey. They reached on the 5th of April. तो कितने दिन हुए? गिनना है. Gandhiji started this march on the 12th of March, reached to Dandi at the 5th of April. So how many days it took to reach Ahmedabad to Dandi? How many kilometers they must have walked per day? This can be tentative calculation. Okay. जितने दिन लगे और जितना distance है तो distance must be divided by that days. So that will be the tentative distance. This activity you have to show on map. In our special book, in our special social book, you have to paste map of Gujarat with the help of your elderly, or you can do by yourself. Tentative, you have to draw the map route Ahmedabad to Surat. So how many district it is passed, and this information, this question, you just write in the other side page. This district, how many district it's passed, which are the important village जो आए हैं, this is the question it is given. So on the map of Gujarat, you have to show this map, route of the Dandi March, and you have to answer this question. This is the first work I am assigning you right now. Now things to know. Dharasana village, it is the Dharasana. Dharasana village was a big center for salt production. Hence, Gandhiji announced that he would do satyagraha over there too. धरासना में भी नमक बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे बनता था. So Gandhiji announced कि वो धरासना में भी सॉल्ट लॉ उसको ब्रेक करेंगे. सो सत्याग्रह ओवर देयर टू. गांधी जी एंड अब्बास तैयब जी. अब अब्बास तैयब जी अंडरलाइन. ये एक नया नाम आया आपके पास, अब्बास तैयब जी. You have to collect the information about the Abbas Tayyab ji. So, Abbas Tayyab ji were arrested so that the leadership of Dharasana Satyagraha were given to Sarojini Naidu. Nightingale of India. Sarojini Naidu के बारे में आप सब कुछ जानते हो, पर Abbas Tayyab ji, you have to collect the information. So Dharasana Satyagraha ki leadership, first it was with the Abbas Tayyab ji, but Abbas Tayyab ji was arrested, so it was handed to the Sarojini Naidu. The British government tried to suppress the Satyagraha with the utter cruelty. 300 Satyagraha were wounded and 2 died. ये official figure है, so you know unofficial क्या figure रहा होगा. So 300 Satyagrahi were wounded and 2 died. Still the Satyagraha did not step back. Okay. Now comes the round table conference. Round table conference. हिंदी में या तो गुजराती में राउंड टेबल मतलब गोल टेबल, राउंड. Okay. So why it is important? Let's talk on it. Round table conference. See, British government convened the round table conference in order to discuss the constitutional change required for India. Round table conference क्यों हुई? So first line must be underlined. This is the answer, one liner actually. British government convened a round table conference in order to discuss. क्या डिस्कस करने के लिए राउंड टेबल थी? Order to discuss the constitutional changes. कौन सा changes? Constitutional changes required for India. भारत के संविधान में, we are talking about the year 1930. So at that time, what constitutional changes are required for India to discuss this topic? They arranged this meeting. The first conference was unsuccessful. 3 बार हुई, पहली was unsuccessful. The first was unsuccessful as the Indian National Congress decided to boycott it. Indian National Congress का कोई भी लीडर वहां पे पार्ट लेने नहीं गया. So first conference was unsuccessful. The second round table conference was held in 1931. Underline it. 1931. Second round table conference 1931. See, date you have to keep in mind. Check it. So second 1931. So second round table, this date you have to keep in mind. The second round table conference was held. The second round table conference was held in 1931. This is you have to keep in mind. As we are talking about the round table conferences, first was unsuccessful. Keep in mind about the second conference. So the second round table conference was held in 1931. So second round conference was held in 1931 in London. It was held in London. And Gandhiji attended it as the only representative of the Indian National Congress. In the first round table conference, it was unsuccessful. Why? Because no Congress leader attended that. In second round table conference, which was held in London in 1931, Gandhiji was the only leader, Indian National Congress leader, who attended this. So of the Indian National Congress, in the conference, the demand for separate electorate for the Dalits and for the different communities was made. Gandhiji was disappointed with this since it would segment India. सेकेंड राउंड टेबल सो कॉल्ड भारत के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में चेंज करने के लिए थी, बट पॉलिसी ऑफ द ब्रिटिशर वाज द सेम, सो गांधी जी वाज डिसअपॉइंटेड also. So what it says in this conference, the demand for the separate electorate for the Dalit and for the different communities was made. Gandhiji was disappointed with this since it would segment the India. Now leader of various communities did not agree and hence the conference failed. Second conference also failed. But only Gandhiji was the leader who participated in. So the point what you have to keep in mind, the second round table conference was held in 1931 in London. Gandhiji was the only National Congress leader who took a part in this. Now Government of India Act 1935. Let's talk on it. See, this all points are very much important, huh? So pay your attention, and if you are marking, underlining it, or you are writing in a specific book, please mention the Government of India Act. The Government of India Act. It is of 1935. Now what we are talking, the Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act was the second phase. It was the second phase in the constitutional changes in India, but it's turned out to be the inadequate and disappointing for the nationalist. So-called Britisher made some changes in the constitution, but it was not on the benefit, it was not the beneficial to Indian. So our leader, so-called nationalists, they become the disappointed. According to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the degree of autonomy introduced at the provisional level was quite limited. Now you know about Dr. Rajendra Prasad, so must underline it. He was the first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. At least you must know this. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Rajendra Babu, you must underline it. So according to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the degree of autonomy introduced at the provisional level was quite limited. The provisional governor retained important resource power, and the British authority also retained a right to suspend the responsible government. अब इसका विरोध क्यों हुआ? The Government of India Act. Ultimately, so-called it was for the Indians, but ultimately powers lie with the Britisher. कंट्रोल जो था वो ब्रिटिशरों ने अपने पास रखा, इसलिए इसका विरोध हुआ. So it was like not in the benefit of Indian. So the British authority also retained the right of suspended responsible government. The elected representative of India were given a very limited authority. So-called elected authority आई, government आई India की, but they were having very limited power. So this was against their expectations. We were in thinking कि ब्रिटिशर हमें राज्य दे देंगे, गवर्नमेंट चलाने के पावर्स देंगे, but ultimately Britisher took the power with them. Britisher took the power with them. नाम की सत्ता हमें दी गई. So हमारी जो expectation थी, the expectation of the leader, that was not fulfilled over here. As per the act, election were held. Elections हुए. Gandhiji suggested that the Indian National Congress would form the federal legislative only if the guaranteed that the governors would not exercise the exclusive power granted to them and act per the advice of the elected provisional minister. अंग्रेजों ने इलेक्शन करवाए, बट what the requirement हमारी क्या थी? The members who are elected by the citizen of the country, according to them, governor should work. सरकार को लोगों की इच्छाओं के मुताबिक काम करना चाहिए, चलना चाहिए. So Viceroys and the National Secretary agreed with the certain classification and Congress and Muslim League formed the Federal Legislative. Viceroys जो थे अंग्रेजों के और उनके सेक्रेटरी, दे अग्रीड. मुस्लिम लीग की मांग और हमारी जो मांग थी उनसे वो एग्री हुए. The experiment of provisional Swaraj continued for 2 years. When the World War II broke out in the year 1939, the British government declared India a part of it without consulting the federal legislature. As a sign of protest, the committee resigned. अब हम बात कर रहे हैं 1935 की. 35 में इलेक्शंस हुए, भारतीय लोगों ने हिस्सा लिया, हमारे खुद के नेता बने. पावर वॉज विद द ब्रिटिशर, बट स्टिल इट्स ओके, फाइन. But all of a sudden in 1939 सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर शुरू हुई एंड ब्रिटिशरों ने हमारे गवर्नमेंट जो ऑफिशियल्स थे उनकी परवाह किए बिना, विदाउट देयर परमिशन, भारतीय सैनिकों को जंग में उतार दिया, भारत को सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में छोड़ दिया. एंड टू प्रोटेस्ट दिस, हमारी जो गवर्नमेंट के लीडर थे, इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव थे, दे रिजाइन इट, दे रिजाइन इट. सी, द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935 में पास हुआ, इलेक्शन हुए, वाइसरॉयज भी मान गए थे, एवरीथिंग वाज फाइन. Most of the power lies with the Britisher, but still it was fine. But in 1939, with the broke of the Second World War, the British government declared India as a part of that war. Okay, and without the consulting the federal legislature. हमारी जो फेडरल लेजिस्लेटिव बनी थी उसकी कंसर्न के बिना भारत को उन्होंने सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर का पार्ट बनाया. As the sign of protest, the this committee resigned. और इसका पार्ट ना बनना है, नहीं बनना था, इसलिए भारत ने इसका विरोध किया. हमारी फेडरल लेजिस्लेटिव डिनाइड फॉर इट एंड अगेंस्ट इट दे रिजाइन. Now very important interesting part, as when we talk about our neighboring country, we talk about the Pakistan. So demand for Pakistan, let's talk on it. Demand for Pakistan. See, previously Pakistan was a part of our country only. Yes, so demand for Pakistan. It was made in 1940. Demand for Pakistan made in 1940. See, Muhammad Iqbal and Chaudhry Rahmat Ali were the Muslim leader who propagated that the Hindus and Muslims should form two separate nations as they represent two different culture. अब ये दोनों name you have to remember. Underline it. Who wants it? Muhammad Iqbal. Muhammad Iqbal and Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. Muhammad Iqbal and Chaudhry Rahmat Ali were the two Muslim leaders who propagated that the Hindus and Muslims, इन दोनों का ये मानना था कि हिंदू और मुस्लिमों के लिए दो अलग देश होने चाहिए, राज्य होने चाहिए. Muslim leader who propagate that the Hindus and Muslims should form two separate nation, दो अलग देश होने चाहिए, as they represent the two different culture. They believe that the India Hindus and Muslims are having their own religious belief, customs, practices. So there must be two different nations on the base of the religion. धर्म के नाम पे दो देशों का अलग होना जरूरी मान रहे थे. हिंदुओं के लिए भारत, मुसलमानों के लिए पाकिस्तान. The resolution of demand for Pakistan was passed in a Muslim League session held at Lahore. Muslim League का session हुआ in Lahore and the resolution was passed. That passed in the Lahore session in March 1940. It was suggested from the independent nation having the majority of the Muslim population. After this, the creation of Pakistan became the main objective of Muslim League. 1940 March में Muslim League passed the resolution to have the separate nation for the Muslims. And after that resolution, Muslim League only focused to get their separate nation, so called the Pakistan. अब भारत की आज़ादी की लड़ाई में से उनको ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट जो था, that was to create, to establish the new nation called the Pakistan for the Muslims. Maulana Azad was born in Makkah. Maulana Abdul Kalam, you all know Maulana Azad. This is not a new name for you. Must collect the information for Maulana Azad. Maulana Azad was born in Makkah. He knew many languages and was a scholar of Islam. He advocated the unity of all the religion. He was always very active in the Gandhian movement. सरहद के गांधी कहा जाता है. That is a Khan Abdul Ghaffar खान, जिनको सरहद के गांधी. तो ऐसे कुछ नेता थे जो गांधी जी के बहुत नजदीकी करीबी रहे हैं. So demand of Pakistan, again listen. Muhammad Iqbal and Chaudhry Rahmat Ali were the Muslim leaders and who propagate that the Hindus and Muslims should form the two separate nation as they represent the two different cultures. The resolution of demand for Pakistan was passed in a Muslim League session held at the Lahore in the March 1940. It was suggested to form the independent nation having the majority of the Muslim population. After this, the creation of Pakistan became the main objective of the Muslim League. So Maulana Azad was born in Makkah. He knew many languages and was a scholar of the Islam, advocate the unity of all the religion, and he was the very active in the Gandhian movement. Now in next lecture we will talk about the individual satyagraha, Vinoba Bhave. Then we talk about the Quit India movement. Even we will talk about the cabinet mission and actually and number of things. So write today's homework first actually. See, this is very interesting and important chapter. Huh? So you must pay your attention. Homework. First homework I have assigned you to do the activity on page number 79. You have to paste the political map of Gujarat. You have to draw the route of Dandi March. Now, write a short note on Dandi Yatra or the march. And why did the second round table conference, why did the second round table conference fail? See, first I said do the activity given on page number 79. So 3 work I have assigned you. First, write a short note on Dandi Yatra. Second, why did the second round table conference fail? And do the activity given on page number 79. See, this all points are very important. Keep in mind that this is very important part of your study. So you have to pay your attention. Here we are talking about the following Mahatma. Okay, so this is very important point and event and the incidents that we should keep in mind. This is very important. Not only for your exam purpose, for your class 9th also, for your class 10th also, and for your general knowledge also. All the names which are new for you, say for Abbas Tayyabji, Maulana Abul Kalam, then comes the Maulana Azad, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Vinoba Bhave, Sarojini Naidu. You must collect the information of them. You can paste their picture, collect the information, prepare your special book, the special workbook what we are doing for our social science. You must prepare your wonderful book. It must be presentable. So do it in a proper and in a good manner. In next lecture we will continue with this chapter. Then another important chapter what we are going to focus, that is the United Nations, and that is afterward what we will going to start. Again I am repeating the homework, pay your attention, write a short note on Dandi Yatra. Yatra means march only. Okay, so write a short note on Dandi Yatra. Why did the second round table conference fail? And do the activity given on page number 70 with the help of map. This is your homework for the day. So here I am ending this lecture. We will continue in the next lecture the same topic and same chapter. Till then, take care of yourself. Do your homework on a proper time. Submit it nicely in a proper presentable manner. So thank you and Jai Hind.